In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a basic scatter plot in Jamovi using the RjEditor that you can use for 7th edition APA style. You can use this to show the relationship between two variables, and so that could be a simple linear regression or Pearson's correlation, maybe that you ran with it. It could also be the predicted values of your outcome variable in multiple regression and then the actual values of that variable. And so the problem is that Jamovi makes kind of an ugly graph. Sorry, Jamovi. And so if you go to exploration and scatterplot, and here I have a regression, simple regression, predicting Machiavellianism from conscientiousness. I can move Machiavellianism to my y-axis as I'm predicting that. My predictor variable is conscientiousness, so I'll put that in the X. I can add a linear regression line, and look how ugly that is. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not something that you can edit. It's not like in SPSS where I can double click on it and make edits. And so the way to do this, if you don't want to make your graph in Google Sheets, is that you can use the module for R. So Jamovi is written on R language, so you can use the RjEditor to do some graphing that's a little bit prettier. So you can go to modules if you don't already have this R edition here. Go to modules, Jamovi library, and then you can search for RJ if it's not already at the top, but you're just going to add this and install it so that you can run this in Jamovi. And you'll open it here by clicking on the R and going to RjEditor Plus. You want to move the variables over that you're going to use. It doesn't matter what the order is, so I'm just going to move Machiavellianism, conscientiousness over. You can see that now it's showing a summary for that data. So you could leave that there, that's fine. I wrote this code out earlier so that this video is not forever long, and I'm going to paste it and I'll explain it. So what I'm doing is first I'm establishing the font that I want to use. So I want to use Times New Roman instead of this bubbly Arial style font that they have here. And so I have this par family equals Times New Roman, and it is important to make sure you're using the quotations around Times New Roman. And then I'm going to do the graph. So this is where you're going to put all the details for your graph. So for the plot, this function right here, this is in base R, it just allows us to say what variables we're going to plot. And so we're going to use conscientiousness. The data and $ before this, they just refer to the name of the data set. So if you were working in RStudio, you would need to identify the name of the data set and pull that into R. Here, it's always going to be called data. So you're going to say data, $, and then the variable. And so you want to have your X variable here, what you want on your X axis, and then do data, the $, and then the second variable, the y-axis. Make sure that it's spelled correctly. When you're typing this in, you can start typing it and it'll come up and you can click on it. So that's something you can do as well. I like to have separate lines for each of the functions that I'm adding in just because it helps to kind of keep my mind clean on it. But you could have this extended out to the right if you wanted to. This xlab refers to a label for my x-axis, which is conscientiousness, so that these two should match here. Conscientiousness first, conscientiousness first. My y label is Machiavellianism. I could make that something else. I could say score, right? And I'll copy this down into the description for this video. There's more that you can do, so this is just a basic starting place. The PCH, what that refers to is that we're identifying what we want to do with our dots in the scatter plot. And so I want it to be a closed dot, and the code for that is a 16. So I want a closed dot like I had up here. So I don't want it to be an empty circle. The BTY, what that refers to is, and I don't know what it stands for, but it basically tells, like it's creating this L shape right here. So it's saying that I just want an L shape. I don't want a box around the whole thing. So that's what you do for APA style is you just have your y-axis line and your x-axis line. You shouldn't have any other grid lines or a full box around it. And so I'm just saying 1, And then this is for my regression line here. So this AB line, I'm choosing a regression line. That's what the LM stands for, is the linear model. And then data, I want to have my Y variable first. So that is opposite of what I have up here. That's really important. So we're going to say that we're going to predict Machiavellianism with conscientiousness. And you have this little tilde between them. So that's part of that model building. And so we're telling it to make a regression line. So that's what this line is right here. I want the color to be black. And then this LW2, it's because I want the line to be a little bit thicker like this one is. And actually I'll start with 1 so you can see what that looks like. So now that I have this, I'm gonna control all and you can run it here. You can also see that it tells you can do Command Shift and Enter as well. I'm just gonna click this little button here and run this. Oh, there it is. And so it runs this part first. That's the first part of it. And then it's adding the line to it here. But look how little that line is. I don't love that. So that's why I was going to do a 2. And I can just rerun this. So I can just run all of this and I can do Command Shift and Enter to run it. And see how that's a little bit thicker. So you can modify some things like that, but this is an APA style graph. So then you just right click and you can either copy it and then paste it, or you can export it. And it lets you export it as an image or a PDF. Image is better, so I would do a PNG. Depends on what your purpose is, but that's probably the easiest way to do it. And then maybe give it a nice name, Scatterplot. And I'm going to say Machiavellianism times conscientiousness, export. And that'll get exported to my downloads. And then you can copy that into your document that you're working on. So this is, again, an APA style graph. This is what it should look like. I do also have a video on making this in Sheets if you don't want to deal with this R code, but if you're familiar with R code, then this is a good option. So I'm going to, again, I'll copy this basic code into the description in case you want to use that. And that is all that I have for you on this video.